have you ever talked to someone who was convicted of murder? I'll ask you that question.
Actually, I have. Stephen Barnes.
Have you ever talked to someone who actually committed a murder?
No.
Well, you're about to. His name is Rashawn Sullivan. He is from Syracuse. After spending nearly half of his life in prison, he's apologizing for a deadly decision he made 20 years ago. He's written a book hoping that other young men will learn from his story. And he's on the line right now. Rashawn Sullivan, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for taking the time here. So tell us what happened 20 years ago. What decision you made?
Well, ultimately, I made a poor decision that resulted in the ending of a young man's life named Jason Crawford. I did over 17 years in prison for it, and basically while I was incarcerated, I became very remorseful and apologetic. So I created a vision where I just wanted to bring about prevention for young people who might be traveling down the road that I did. So that was the experience I got out of that, but that happened over 20 years now.
So how did, can you take us back to there just for a little bit of a background? How did it happen? How did you come to taking another person's life? What was the story around it?
Well, I mean, growing up in a hostile environment, a misguided one, and, you know, being involved in falsified gang activity, because it's not really that, but you get brought into a culture, and I bought into one which was a gang, but it wasn't really a gang. And one thing led to another of over really $40 and a bunch of other weak interpretations.
Yeah.
And ultimately we had a problem with some other guys, and I ended up bringing a weapon into the equation because I wanted to live my life through the eyes of other men. I was caught up in a false sense of reality.
Yeah. Had to be something that was, you know, you see that false sense of reality. After you took somebody's life, did that immediately weigh on you like, oh, my God, what have I done?
No, that didn't immediately weigh on me. I had to actually go through more ignorance because it's really like a false sense of reality, and you have to fight your way through this. So while I was incarcerated, I still was being ignorant and not conforming to like being just a truthful person.
Yeah.
But eventually I had broke out of it when I had about 9 years into my incarceration.
Wow, it took you that long. Well, you know, they call it the correction system, right? The corrections officers, you're in a correctional facility. The word correction, the concept is that somewhere along during that stint that something gets corrected, and you're saying that happened for you.
Absolutely. My character, my being was corrected, and I was put in the proper place mentally, morally, spiritually, to want to be able now to give back. And that is the message that has to come out of that, because the truth is I was truly wrong for that, but I'm also truly remorseful and apologetic. And I have to make amends for that, but also help other people now, you know, make better decisions, because I know how it is to be lost, confused, and young and not have the guidance.
Yeah. So, you were released in 2015. And have you been able to have a conversation with the victim's family?
Yes. Actually, I had an event in 2015 at the area where the young man had lost his life at, and his family was actually there at that moment. And I had made a public apology to him on Syracuse News, and, you know, they had accepted my apology. And some of them, you know, they haven't. And, you know, I understand because it is a severity to the situation.
Yeah.
But I have spoke to family members who actually have said that they accept my apology. So I think it was therapeutic on both sides, and that's what you got to do sometimes, too.
Yeah.
You have to go back and face and, you know, try to correct your wrongs, too.
Hey, how was it in prison? I mean, you said after 9 years you were able to realize that you were living in a false world, and really you look at things for what they are much differently than you did before. What was the environment like in prison, though? Could you have easily been misdirected based on the environment there?
Oh, absolutely, I was.
Yeah.
For at least 9 years.
Right.
Going into, I started to make my gradual changes out of it. But, yeah, I was enslaved into that environment because it's dominated by negativity. But you do have the bright spots in there because, as you can see, I came out as one. And there's other men in there who are also. But you could easily, continuously go down the wrong road and be shaped to be institutionalized, basically, a prison.
And we're talking to Rashawn Sullivan, incarcerated for 17 years for a murder that he committed. Very interesting how coming out was it God? Was it just looking in the mirror? What was the big turning point for you?
It was looking at the person in the mirror.
Yeah.
And by doing that, that ultimately led me to what I would consider a God, which is a great level of awareness or a powerful being that exists within me. And I was able to connect with that within me. And now I am being a vehicle for expression for it. Yeah, I can classify it as God, but after I looked at the man in the mirror, I did run into an unbelievable force within me that is going to use me to do great things for the service of humanity.
Oh, that's awesome. And so the book is, by the way, there's a website. It's iapologize315.com.
Correct.
And the book is entitled I Apologize. And, it's interesting you say that when after the murder occurred, was it a gun? Did you pull a trigger?
Yes.
So after you pulled the trigger, you're caught up in that world and you did what was right. This was almost like, I guess I don't know what to call it. But you were maybe looked upon in a positive way within that group. So how do you convince a kid today that's in the middle of some sort of a group or a gang or whatever he thinks it is? How do you convince them that this is not worth it?
Because you have to be able to pierce through the illusion, because it is an illusion. And you have to be skilled in illustrating, not only through verbally talking, but through an action to give him a view of how transformation looks, because that road is too dangerous. I'm skilled enough to provide that picture and the instructions to better his mind and his action so he could find his own way also. So if you don't have that skill set, and that skill set can only come through you actually experiencing that reality, then you can't even reach him. But I can, because I have the blueprint, because I actually went through it and I learned from it. I got transformed from it.
Really interesting. And so how have you been received? Is it easy? Is it difficult? It's only been a few years since you've been released. How has that transition been, and whether getting a job and just how people perceive you? How has that gone?
Actually, as far as my employment, I work at Trauma Response Team, which is in a community center at Southwest in Syracuse, New York. And what we do is we do outreach. We talk to young men who are on the corner or youth who are at risk, far as filling out resumes for them, getting them jobs, and that's my employment right there.
Yeah.
But as far as community, I get great love, so to say, in the community, because people know that I'm genuine. They understand that, you make poor decisions and you learn from it, because our community still reflects that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that I was caught up in that, and they understand that. So they welcome me with open arms. And not just so much the community. I interact with the probation department. I interact with OCC, Syracuse University. I have an event that's coming up on the 22nd of March up there. So, I get welcome and receive love from all walks of life.
What do you reflect on? I mean, I don't know your family situation, but did you have a mom and a dad? Was there a dad in the picture? And what was it like? First of all, was there a dad in the picture for you when this happened?
Oh no, I'm 36. I just turned 36. The first time I met my father was when I was 34, and I was out of prison for about 7 months.
Wow.
And I can't. I mean, you spent like 2 decades in prison, and you're only 36.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow.
And
then
prior to that,
yeah.
prior to that, I was in a juvenile detention center. I was in a juvenile detention center. I went at the age of 9 for 90 days, and I went at the age of 10 for 4 months, and I went back again from
Wow.
the age of 11 till I was 15.
Wow.
And then I
yeah.
went through the 17 years in prison.
Wow. And Rashawn, tell me, so Mom was in the picture, but she was struggling trying to keep you on the straight and narrow. I'm assuming that's the case?
No. My mother was exposed to drugs at an early age.
Wow.
So, she was not in my life. Actually, I went periods of 13 years without seeing my mother,
Wow.
9 years without seeing my mother. So,
man, you didn't you didn't have a chance. I mean, it was just stacked against you.
You can look at it like that.
Yeah. Or you can look at it the way you look at it today and saying, I'm going to be responsible for my own actions and take a responsible approach, which it seems like you're doing.
Correct.
Wow. Man. Well, Rashawn Sullivan, what a story. And the book is I Apologize. And so we'll say to you, we thank you for what you're doing out there, because I think you said even if you make a difference in one kid's life, you've changed the world.
Yep. Even like today, I have to go up to Hillbrook Detention Center and go up there and speak to the youth, because I did over 5 years there in the residential center. So how, fitting that I'm back here now talking to the youth. You see, that's purpose.
Yeah. Good for you.
I'm living out my life as I lived it, and this is how I give back. I was created for this.
Rashawn Sullivan, thanks for taking the time this morning, and we'll try to keep in touch. We appreciate what you're doing out there.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. Wow.
All right.
Wow, what a story, huh? What a story. Makes you think about, you sit around whining like, oh, we don't have it good. We don't have it. Look what this kid had from the very beginning. Nothing. And he was just left all on his own. And, wow, what a story.